My in-laws forced a prenup on me, snickering, "You have no rights to Ethan's assets." They were ecstatic when I suddenly became worth $25 million, until I slid the divorce papers across the table and watched their smug expressions shatter because I met Ethan when I was 27, living paycheck to paycheck in Austin, Texas. I was doing freelance design work and waiting tables on the side. He walked into the bar one night with some friends, and we hit it off over some stupid conversation about dog breeds and bad tattoos. He wasn't flashy. He didn't brag. He had a beat-up Ford truck, wore the same black hoodie too many times, and said his favorite restaurant was Whataburger. He was funny, smart, and seemed down-to-earth. I had no clue who he really was. It wasn't until month 3 that I learned the full story. Ethan came from money. Not a little trust fund, money, Texas Oil and Land Dynasty money. His family owned commercial real estate all over the state, held stakes in shopping centers, warehouses, and even a few downtown Austin hotels. His parents were the kind of people who had accountants for their wine collections. And they hated me from day one. I was polite. I dressed well. I said all the right things. Didn't matter. His mom, Cheryl, would do that thing where she'd smile but stare right through me. His dad, Gregory, didn't talk much at all, but he made sure I knew I was out of my league. You could feel the judgment when they looked at me. I wasn't from the same stock, their word, not mine. I had no money, no connections, no pedigree. When Ethan and I got engaged after a year and a half, things got real nasty real fast. They called him into a private meeting. 3 days later, he came back with a thick envelope and a guilty face. "I'm sorry," he said. "My parents want us to sign a prenup." I asked, "Do you want me to sign it?" He hesitated. That's all I needed to know. The prenup was insulting. It said if we ever divorced, I'd get a one-time payout of $50,000, and that's it. No house, no savings, no retirement, nothing. No alimony. I couldn't touch a cent of Ethan's investments. Even if we had kids, I was only entitled to basic child support, capped at a number that hadn't changed since the 90s. The document was cold, calculated, designed to leave me with nothing. They had it notarized and ready before I even agreed. His mother smirked the whole time I read it. "You have no rights to Ethan's assets," she said, loud enough for the room to hear. Just want to be clear. That sentence stayed in my head for years. I should have walked away, but I didn't. I was in love. I thought, we'll make our own money. We'll build our life. I don't need theirs. So I signed the damn thing. Ethan thanked me. His parents said nothing. That was my wedding gift. The first few years were fine. Ethan worked in the family business. I did freelance design. We bought a small house in East Austin with a mortgage Ethan's parents co-signed. I was happy to be building something slowly, honestly. Ethan started changing around year 4. He was stressed. Distant. His parents wanted him more involved in the family's projects, and the more he leaned into that world, the more arrogant he became. He talked differently. Treated waitstaff differently. Treated me differently. He'd joke about how I didn't understand money, or tell me I didn't grow up with wealth, so it's different for you. I stopped laughing at those jokes. He stopped noticing. Meanwhile, I was grinding. I had started a tiny creative studio with 2 other designers. One client turned into 5. Then 10. We got on a few tech companies' radars. Suddenly, we had retainer contracts. We started hiring. I was pulling 70-hour weeks, building this thing from scratch, eating lunch at my desk and sleeping 4 hours a night. Ethan didn't care. If anything, he resented it. He said I was turning into one of those women who doesn't need a man. Funny, considering that's exactly what I was becoming. In year 7, it all flipped. We landed a contract to rebrand a software company in California. They went public 6 months later. That alone brought in referral clients that quadrupled our revenue. I started taking salary draws that were bigger than Ethan's quarterly income. We moved our office to a commercial space near Rainy Street. I bought out my partners, kept the team, scaled up. Then one of our clients, a marketing firm based in LA, made me an offer to acquire the company. Total deal value, post-tax, $25.3 million. I didn't scream. I didn't post about it. I just let it happen. Quietly. Ethan didn't ask questions. He barely noticed. His head was somewhere else. I know now that somewhere else was named Candace, 26, Pilates instructor, lived in a high-rise his company owned. I found the messages 2 months after the sale closed. Photos. Reservations. A receipt for a trip to Aspen. All paid for by an account I didn't even know he had. He never even tried to hide it. When I confronted him, he just shrugged and said, "You've been gone anyway." He didn't say sorry. That was the end. But I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I remembered that day in the lawyer's office, his mom's voice echoing in my head, "You have no rights to Ethan's assets." She was right. I had no rights to his. But he had no rights to mine either. That's when I called my lawyer. I didn't go to a regular divorce attorney. I hired a litigation specialist out of Houston who used to work on celebrity prenups. This guy was ruthless. He and his team reviewed every inch of the prenup. Guess what? They found holes. Big ones. Missing signatures on critical sections. One clause that contradicted Texas marital law. And the biggest one, Ethan had used marital funds to carry out the affair, which, under Texas law, could nullify sections of the agreement entirely if proven intentional. Oh, and remember that side account? We traced it. Over $300,000 in spending over 18 months. Hotels, jewelry, spa weekends, payments to Candace's lease. The moment the lawyer had the audit report in hand, he looked at me and said, "You could take everything." I didn't want everything. I just wanted to do it my way. The final move came during Cheryl and Gregory's annual spring estate brunch. It was their most obnoxious event of the year, the kind of thing with $1,000 table centerpieces and a jazz quartet flown in from New Orleans. I showed up alone, dressed clean and sharp. Hair done. Subtle but expensive watch. Diamond earrings. Calm. Cheryl tried to hug me. I stepped back. I handed her a folder. Inside, my divorce papers, a copy of the audit, and a notarized letter from my lawyer requesting immediate mediation. Gregory walked over. "Read the first page." Laughed. "You signed a prenup," he said. My lawyer walked in from the side door, like a damn assassin. "Yes, she did," he said. "And it's invalid in at least 3 areas. You'll find the summary on page 6. Cheryl went pale. Gregory stopped smiling. Ethan walked in, saw the stack of papers, and froze. "What is this?" "Divorce," I said. "And a formal notice that I'm pursuing a full financial claim based on fraud and marital misconduct." He stammered. "You can't." "I can," I said. "And I will." I turned and walked out. Didn't even take a mimosa. I didn't hear anything for 3 days. No texts. No calls. Not even a legal response. Just silence. Ethan must have been too busy spiraling. Cheryl and Gregory, I assumed, were scrambling behind closed doors trying to figure out how something they thought was airtight was now leaking like a cracked dam. On day 4, my attorney called. They're requesting a private meeting. No press, no court filings, they want to settle. That was fast. I agreed. But I had one condition. I wanted it face-to-face. No emails. No phone calls. I wanted to see their eyes. They picked a neutral spot, a private room in a downtown law office. Polished wood. Wall-length windows. Bottled water arranged like we were meeting the governor. Ethan looked like hell. Hollowed out. Eyes dark, collar wrinkled. He wouldn't even meet my gaze. Cheryl wore a beige suit like she was going to a funeral. Gregory had his arms crossed before he even sat down. Their attorney, some smug guy from Houston with a $1,000 haircut and crocodile shoes, opened with, "We'd like to resolve this without damaging reputations." I didn't respond. My lawyer slid a folder across the table. Inside was everything, the financial records, screenshots of Ethan's messages, a timeline of the affair, and a breakdown of how Ethan used marital assets to fund another woman's life. It was neat. It was organized. It was devastating. Gregory's eyes darted across the page. Cheryl's mouth hung open for a moment. Ethan blinked twice and looked down like a child caught stealing. Crocodile shoes cleared his throat. "Well, the prenup," my lawyer didn't let him finish. "The prenup is non-binding. It lacks full execution and violates 2 key Texas marital statutes. Beyond that, your client committed financial fraud and marital misconduct. If this goes to court, she'll walk away with at least half." Silence. Then Cheryl said something that still pisses me off to this day. "This isn't who we raised Ethan to be." As if she hadn't smirked through every insult and cut me down every chance she got. As if she hadn't handed me that prenup with a grin and told me I was lucky to be there. As if she hadn't spent 7 years reminding me I'd never be part of their world. She wanted to play victim now? I just looked at her and said, "I didn't break this." He did. They offered me a buyout, low 7 figures. A hush package. I said no. They upped it. $5 million and a public statement saying the split was mutual. Still no. "I don't want to pay out," I said. "I want the record corrected. I want people to know I built something." And he ruined it. That's when the twist came. Gregory sat up. Calm. Too calm. He slid a document across the table. "Read it," he said. It was a transfer of shares. Ethan's shares, the same ones the prenup had locked away. Gregory was offering them. Voluntarily. No strings. In exchange for a total NDA. Lifetime gag order. No interviews, no memoirs, no public filings. Nothing. They were offering me silence in exchange for power. It was bait. I didn't take it. I pushed the papers back and said, "You don't get to shut me up anymore. Not after how you treated me. Not after what he did." Crocodile shoes looked nervous. They thought they could buy me out, just like everything else in their world. But here's the thing, I already had money. More than Ethan. More than I'd ever need. I didn't want theirs. I wanted respect. And I wanted the truth out. That's when Ethan finally spoke. I didn't think you'd go this far, he said. I looked right at him. You didn't think I'd be more than your backup plan. He started crying. Real tears, too. Maybe for me. Maybe for himself. Maybe just for the reputation he was about to lose. I didn't care. We left the room without signing a thing. My lawyer smiled. They're going to panic now, he said. Let them. The panic came fast. 2 days later, I got a call from a journalist at a regional business magazine. She had heard rumors about Ethan's affair and wanted a quote. I didn't say anything, but I also didn't say not to run it. A week after that, a former employee of Ethan's firm leaked internal memos. Turns out, the company had covered up multiple expense reports tied to his trips with Candace. They marked them as client development. Gregory's name was on the approval line. A firestorm started. The media didn't care about our divorce. But they loved a scandal involving embezzled funds, misuse of company assets, and a family-run empire pretending to be squeaky clean while covering up for their son's dirty laundry. Within a month, 3 clients pulled their commercial leases. Gregory had to step down from a public board seat. Cheryl stopped showing up to her luncheons and deleted her Instagram. Ethan was taking time away to focus on family, which was code for, we're bleeding money and don't know how to stop it. Meanwhile, I was fine. I stayed quiet. Kept running my new investment group. Took meetings. Signed clients. Launched a mentorship fund for women who built businesses from scratch. Quietly. With no PR. Just results. That's what they never understood. They thought I married Ethan for a lifestyle. I never wanted that. I wanted partnership. I wanted honesty. I wanted to build with someone, not under them. And when they showed me who they were, I didn't cry. I planned. Still no ending yet. But the revenge? It's not even close to done. A week after the media storm started, I got a message from a number I didn't recognize. It was Candace. At first, I thought it was a joke. The message was short. I think we should talk. You don't know everything. I ignored it. She messaged again the next day. Then again. And then she emailed me from a business address. Turns out, she wasn't just some random girl Ethan was sneaking around with. She worked for one of the tenant companies inside a property owned by Ethan's family. She met him at a tenant happy hour Gregory hosted, and Ethan, classic Ethan, swooped in acting like he was some underdog in a toxic marriage. She thought he was separated. He told her I was cold, never home, and didn't believe in his ideas. She didn't know we were still sleeping under the same roof until the week I served papers. She asked to meet in person. I agreed, mostly because I wanted to see the face of the woman who helped wreck my marriage. I expected arrogance. I expected shallow apologies. I expected a second-rate manipulator. I got something else. Candace looked shaken, not scared, just tired. Like someone who realized too late that she had walked into something much bigger than she understood. She handed me a flash drive. I kept everything, she said. Photos. Screenshots. Voice memos. But that wasn't the twist. The real twist? There were emails between Ethan and Gregory, with Gregory telling his son how to structure the payments to Candace so they wouldn't show up in audits. Gregory had been in on it. The whole time. Not just enabling, but coaching. Guiding Ethan on how to cheat and keep the money trail clean. One email said, use the LLC. Don't use the cards tied to the family trust. If she gets nosy, blame your business expenses. This man, who stood across from me and acted like I was the disgrace, had personally helped his son cover up an affair using company money. I sent it all to my lawyer. He called me 15 minutes later and said, this changes everything. Gregory must have gotten wind we had the emails, because 3 days later, he tried to get ahead of it. I got a letter, not from their lawyer, but from a crisis management firm based out of Dallas. PR sharks. It was a soft threat dressed up as kindness. They offered to mediate the situation privately, in exchange for me agreeing to stop all pending litigation. I didn't respond. So they tried again. This time they used Ethan. He called me late at night, the first time he'd called directly since I served him. He tried to be calm. Tried to be nice. Let's be adults, he said. This is getting out of hand. I told him we were way past that. And then he lost it. You're ruining everything, he snapped. You're dragging my whole family through the mud just to make a point. And there it was. Still not sorry. Still didn't get it. I told him, you did that yourselves. All I did was stop pretending. Then I hung up. But the pressure kept rising. 2 of the board members on Gregory's development group resigned. Anonymous tips were being sent to a watchdog agency about misuse of corporate funds. A junior accountant inside Ethan's company had started sending documents to my attorney anonymously. Every week, another crack opened. Then, another twist. One of Ethan's former assistants, a quiet guy named Marcus, reached out through my lawyer. Said he had proof that Ethan was trying to liquidate assets before the court proceedings. He had already sold off 3 of his personal vehicles and was trying to move cash into a crypto wallet registered in a friend's name. That move? Illegal. We filed an injunction. Ethan was hit with a freeze order. But that wasn't even the big moment. The big moment was when Marcus told us about something even I didn't know. Ethan had taken out a second mortgage on our East Austin home 6 months before I filed, forged my digital signature, and used the money to cover gambling debt. He gambled. That was new. The kind of secret that only comes out when the truth has nowhere left to hide. We filed charges. That alone could put Ethan in prison. My lawyer said, this case isn't just a divorce anymore. It's fraud. And now criminal court wants in. Suddenly, everyone got very quiet. Gregory stopped pushing the PR angle. Cheryl disappeared from social events entirely. Ethan tried to issue a public apology, which my attorney blocked because it violated active litigation. Behind the scenes, I started hearing whispers. Ethan was under pressure to settle. Gregory was pulling back funding. There was real fear now that this would go all the way to court and result in subpoenas, public records, discovery hearings. And then Cheryl, of all people, showed up at my office. No warning. Just walked in with a tight smile and a handwritten envelope. My receptionist was too stunned to stop her. She sat down across from me. Her hands were shaking. I didn't know, she said. About the mortgage. About the crypto. About the gambling. I swear I didn't know. I believed her. But I didn't care. She looked around the office. My name was on the glass. My team was in the other room, laughing and working. I was calm. I was built. I was everything she had tried to bury with a prenup. You don't have to do this publicly, she said. There are other ways. I told her the only way this stopped was if they admitted everything in writing and agreed to dissolve the family trust controlling Ethan's assets. She stared at me. You would destroy all of it? I didn't flinch. No, I said. You already did. I'm just showing the world. 2 weeks after Cheryl showed up at my office, we were in court. It wasn't public yet. Just a preliminary hearing, but still, the room was packed. Their side had 3 attorneys. I had one, and he was more than enough. The judge, an older woman with sharp eyes and no patience, had already reviewed the filings. She opened with a warning. If I find deliberate concealment of marital assets, this courtroom will pursue charges. I do not care about your reputations. Ethan didn't speak. He couldn't. He looked hollow, like someone who hadn't slept in days. I almost didn't recognize him. The man I fell in love with was gone. What sat across from me was just the skin he used to wear. But I still had to face him. The emails came up. The mortgage forgery. The affair. The attempt to liquidate assets and hide them offshore. Every one of Ethan's failures laid bare in a cold, echoey courtroom. Then, something none of us expected. One of Gregory's former employees, a guy named Alan who had been laid off a year earlier, had submitted an affidavit. He claimed that Gregory had coached not just Ethan, but other family members in how to manipulate asset declarations during divorce proceedings. That prenups were part of the business strategy. He named names. He brought records. It was bad. Real bad. The judge ordered a forensic audit of the family trust. Cheryl gasped. Gregory went white. Ethan put his face in his hands. But that wasn't the explosion. That came later. After court, we ended up in a mediation room to try and get ahead of the audit. Tensions were at a breaking point. Cheryl was sobbing quietly in the corner. Gregory was pacing. Ethan finally snapped. You win, okay? He shouted, loud enough that even people in the hallway turned. Is that what you wanted? You f-king win. I just stared at him. You lied, I said. You cheated. You stole. And now that you're caught, you want to act like I'm the villain because I didn't just disappear quietly. He slammed his hand on the table. I didn't mean for it to get this far. That was the truth. He never thought I'd fight back. Never thought I had it in me. He believed, right up until the moment the courtroom doors opened, that I would fold. Like every other woman in their family history who got steamrolled by money and control. That's when Cheryl, of all people, snapped, too. Stop, she yelled. Stop pretending like you didn't destroy this. Gregory turned. You knew what was happening. I didn't know about the mortgage, she cried. I didn't know about the crypto. I didn't know you were helping him lie to her face. Then she turned to me. Tears in her eyes. I said those things because I was scared, she said. Scared he'd ruin himself. Scared you'd take him away. I didn't see you. I just saw a threat. It was the first real thing she'd ever said to me. I didn't cry. I just nodded. And for the first time in years, I felt nothing. No hate. No vengeance. Just air. Like a balloon finally released. Gregory refused to speak again. He walked out mid-discussion. Cheryl followed. Ethan stayed, shoulders slumped, staring at his hands. I said the last thing I'd ever say to him. You didn't lose because of the prenup. You didn't lose because of the affair. You lost because you forgot who I was. I never needed your money. I needed your honesty. And you didn't have it. He didn't answer. He didn't need to. The court finalized the divorce 45 days later. The prenup was tossed. Invalid. Ethan forfeited a portion of his assets, including a large cash settlement, not because I wanted his money, but because I wanted the system they weaponized to choke on its own rules. The forensic audit uncovered years of hidden income across Gregory's portfolio. 2 investigations opened. Cheryl moved to another property out of state. Candace? She left. Filed a lawsuit for coercion, then moved to Colorado. We never spoke again. And me? I kept building. Quietly. Focused. I expanded my firm's mentorship division. Bought a second property. Helped my sister pay off her medical debt. I also started dating again slowly. Carefully. Not to prove anything. Not to show the world I was healed. But because, for the first time, I wasn't afraid to say what I wanted. Or what I wouldn't tolerate. Sometimes, I think about the girl who signed that prenup like a peace treaty. The one who believed that if she worked hard and kept quiet, love would be enough. She didn't know that love doesn't excuse erasure. That silence isn't loyalty. That survival is not the same thing as being respected. I know that now. And if I ever forget again, all I have to do is remember the sound of Ethan's voice, breaking in that cold conference room. You win. Damn right I did. But it never should have been a game in the first place.